Oh, Steve, don't look now. Those Miami Dolphins on a little bit of a run with the return of Tua Tagovailoa. They absolutely dismantled the Patriots. I believe it was 34-15. Now a big one coming up on Thursday. And I said don't look now because if they beat the Packers in Green Bay on Thanksgiving, they're 500. There was a reason, Steve, they were not sellers at the deadline. Mike McDaniel said, no, we are not getting rid of Calais Campbell, even though there was a trade somewhat in place.
Adult tantrum.
Yeah. they said, listen, when Tua comes back, we think we can do something. And I think what stands out to me, before you jump in, I just want to say this. This is what they've scored in these 5 games since he's been back. 27, 27, 23, 34, 34. They didn't break 20 before this streak. And so since he's come back from the concussion, Tua has been on fire. And I think we've seen, as he goes, this team goes.
Absolutely. Tua is very unique in this offense.
Great point.
You can't just plug and play anybody. I know next man up is a lot of times what you hear. Next man up just ain't going to get it done. No. Also, too, Mike McDaniel's offense is built around a left-hand quarterback. Most of the time, right-hand quarterbacks is reading right to left. With Tua, it's left to right. So everything is backwards. And it throws the defense off. Then when you put a little bit of motion around, Miami's offense is moving the football, motion, pre-snap. Movement is up in the 94%. And that has a huge impact on the defense because here's what it does. RPO game and motion and shifts gives the advantage to the offense, obviously, but with the defense, it makes them step forward. And because it stepped forward and the way Tua throws the football with anticipation, it gives him those throwing lanes to anticipate. Tua is not a late ball thrower. He likes to anticipate. That is what he does well. That is when this offense is clicking, anticipating throws, going across the middle. That's what they do. But I can tell you one thing that I noticed, and I wrote it down 2 weeks ago. Something that's going on with the Miami Dolphins, Raheem Mostert is playing kickoff return. Jalen Wright and devon achane are the 1 and 2 combination back that are starting to be the guys of the future. And I believe, just based off watching the game and the usage, that Mostert may be on his way out because they want to get younger, fresher legs and a little bit quicker who are not really as run game heavy. These guys are Swiss Army knives, and they can use them in a lot of different personnels and a lot of different usage, where Mostert, he is more of a down the hill back. And I don't think what's crazy is Coach McDaniels was the run game coordinator. He was all about running the football. However, since he moved to Miami and became the head coach and offensive coordinator, man, running the ball, who, me? They gonna pass the football. He literally wants to put the fastest team known to mankind on the field. That's just my observation. Tell me if I'm wrong, or tell me if I'm right, James.
No, you're right. And listen, aren't you going to want to throw the ball when every single game your quarterback completes over 70% of his passes? I mean, that's what he's done these 5 straight games. I mean, you're throwing the ball, like you mentioned, with anticipation. We know how accurate he is. Remember, the world exploded when Tyreek Hill said, I'm going to tell you all something. Tua Tagovailoa is a more accurate quarterback than Patrick Mahomes. Oh my God, it was insane. Everybody went nuts in the NFL.
At the time, it was. At the time, it was insane comment because right after that, it was an underthrown ball to him in practice as well. So, it was kind of like
Tyreek had those Miami afterburners on, and then all of a sudden he had to hit the brakes and come back for the ball right when he was sorry. But listen, this offense, I think the thing we need to get to is, I think what we've heard the last several years is what, Steve? Well, look at all this talent around him. Look at the way Mike McDaniel has done this. Any quarterback can thrive here. I think what we saw when he was out is, let's flip it. Like, this offense doesn't work without Tua.
Yeah.
People used to say this offense will work with any quarterback. And I think what you described is a good example of why this offense specifically is designed to work with his skill set. He's looking like one of the most valuable players in the NFL to their team, the way he plays it. But I want to get back to motion real quick and ask you this, because what we saw in those clips and what we've seen from Miami, and I know I've heard this around the league a little bit, One, like they use their motion to get an added speed advantage. And
Yes,
two,
they do.
They don't just go in motion. I mean, they are moving when they go in motion. Some teams, it's jogging by. You're like Cuba Gooding Jr. and Jerry Maguire, putting the hands up as you go by real slow. But like, tell me about the speed of motion and how different that is, because they run with purpose when they get in motion pre-snap.
Well, speed of motion is one of those things you haven't really seen in the National Football League. The leagues you've seen it in is Canadian and arena football.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying this is arena league, but what I'm saying is this is a copycat league. And since the Miami Dolphins have had so much success since acquiring via trade Tyreek Hill, you have seen also other teams try to utilize the same types of motion. I remember watching a game last night, and Dallas got her. When in motion was kind of going forward a little bit, and he was called for that. But they do a very good job.
They bend them. I mean, they're real sneaky with it. They start bending.
They're sneaky, but with the motion and the movement, it just opens up so many layers for this offense because the defense has to respect and take the step. There's 3 R's in when you look at a defense or a defensive player. You want to know, can he react? Does he read it right? And how well does he recognize what's going on? Those 3 things, recognition, react, and read, well, if you have motion, well, you're gonna react. It's gonna take you a little bit of time to read it, and it's definitely gonna put you a step or a millisecond or several seconds at recognizing what the hell is coming at you.
100% agree.
So it's all in line with trying to slow down the defense, make them think. And when you make a defender think, he stops his feet. He has to pause. He has to figure out what I see coming to me. Is it real or is it a mixed direction? Or, if you have the fullback going in motion, then the tight end going in motion, now you have an RPO, and all of a sudden you got deep 202, or you got Waddle going in motion, and then he bursts, and then seams, and then you got anticipation, and you got a read, and then you got a 4'4" receiver or running back going. Man, it's a lot of stuff going on. It's almost like saying, hey, I'm gonna deliver pizzas, or I'm gonna make something in the back of an RV going down the Autobahn. It's just so much going on, and it's moving so quickly, it's impossible to say that you got all the answers all at the same time.
To show their thanks, Underdog is stuffing the lobby with promos during their feast week. We're talking profit boosts, discounts, gimme picks, and so much more. And if you bring your friends to the table during their Refer a Friend event, well, you'll both be eating on Underdog. Sign up with promo code UD89 and enjoy this bountiful feast. I'm looking at what they have left, Steve. We're talking about Thursday against the Packers. I don't think this is the most difficult schedule for Miami to finish out. After this game on Thursday, they have the Jets. Then they have at Houston, which the Texans they're not what they were last year. You have the Niners, and you have at the Browns, at the Jets. You could assume they win all of those except 2, and that puts you at 9-8. You could win. I could see them winning all of those games. That's the point.
So that'll put them second in the division behind Buffalo. That's in.
That's in.
Because you know the Jets are trying to figure it out. Some other teams are gonna cancel themselves out. The AFC is not as strong as we thought we usually have seen.
And Steve, the questions were there. They were already asked to Tua after the game on Sunday. You're going to Green Bay. We know the narrative. We know the issues in the cold. I covered their game against Kansas City at Arrowhead, which I think was the 4th coldest game ever. Tua was in like 2 scuba suits. Nobody should have played football in that weather, but they struggled. And he said, obviously, let's knock that narrative out of the park. Let's make sure we eliminate that. What does this say for them moving forward with the rest of this season? This is probably another instance playing at Green Bay that we want to a box we want to check, is a better way to put it, as if we're trying to see if they're coming all the way back to be a playoff team right now.
Well, when you talk about the AFC and you talk about Miami Dolphins, there's two teams currently right now because obviously Tom Brady is no longer in New England.
Nope.
Is okay, what is going to happen if the Miami Dolphins have to go to Kansas City? And what we've seen is what happens when Miami generally just has to play the Bills, the Buffalo Bills out there. And that's one of the biggest things that comes up. Now, if you go out to Lambeau and you make it competitive and you show the naysayers that the weather was not the issue, it's just sometimes you just play a better team, then that's the difference. However, it hasn't been the case for Miami in the last couple of years. Playing in Buffalo, the cold has been top of mind. It's been freezing, like cold. So it's there. And so they do have to prove that they can play in the cold because generally in January and February, late January, if you got to play in Kansas City and you have to play in Buffalo, it ain't 70 degrees. No. It's not 60.
You're lucky if it's 30.
You lucky.
It's a heat wave at 30.
Yeah, so I think it will be a huge issue if they come out flat. If Miami comes out flat, and I'm not talking about they get beat, just comes out flat and unable to perform in a way that we in the last 4 or 5 games we've seen them perform, then it will be brought up again and again until they quiet the cold storms.
And you know who else they're doing it for? Themselves.
Absolutely.
I mean, I think Tua got to prove to yourself, right? You're going to feel better the rest of the way out and into the postseason, even though this is all outside noise. You know you got to prove it to yourself as a team. And they also, remember, finished the season at Cleveland, at the Jets. Those are not warm environments at the end of the season either. We just saw that great Thursday night game. I mean, in Cleveland, snowfall.
Yeah, that was interesting. Hey, can we say, Jameis is hilarious, bro.
It really is.
Do, 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 do.
What was your take when you watched him go, got a dub on Amazon, gonna be delivered to my house by 9?
If he don't have that Prime, it ain't getting there early.
Not gonna get there, same day delivery.
Yeah, but that's
it's fun to
though.
watch,
Hey,
man. It's fun.
He's hilarious. He's hilarious. He still throw you a pick though.